Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome back. My name is Gene Volsi, UNMB Home Loans.
Patrice Hayes, Designer Realty Group.
And today we're going to discuss expectations when you first walk into our offices and what to expect.
Yes.
So what are some of the expectations of your clients when they first walk in, and what are your expectations on the back end when you see them for the first time?
Well, the first thing is just getting people to come to you in the first place. A lot of people are very scared. They're very intimidated. They have these thoughts that they're not, going to get approved or everything is going to go wrong. And a lot of it is just fear. And it's fear of the unknown, I think. Okay. So their expectations are usually off, and they can actually get a lot more than, what they anticipated a lot of times. And so my expectations for clients are to be honest with me, because that will truly let you know where we can go, in the process. If you're not honest with your agent or your lender about your situation, your funds, your debt, things like that, it'll come back to bite you later on in the process, and you don't want it to cause you to lose money, lose a house, lose a deal. So it's just best to be honest about everything up front, because you know what? When you pull that credit, we're going to find out about it later anyway.
So it's kind of like the same thing for me. When the clients come in, I'll tell them, let's just kind of hold off with the questions at a later time. My job is to try to develop a profile about them. When I take a look at your credit, the credit's going to tell me so much about you. And without knowing the credit, I don't know which loan product you're going to go into. I don't know if it's going to be a conventional loan. I don't know if it's going to be an FHA loan. I don't know which loan you're going to qualify for, because each of these loan programs have different criteria and different down payments. So as far as setting the expectation, the clients always come in and they don't know what they really qualify for. They hear things online, and someone will tell them that you need a 720 FICO score. You need to put 20% down to qualify. For a conventional loan is 20% or 5%. You can do as low on a conventional loan as low as 3%. You can do 3.5% on an FHA loan. And also there's a big misconception about what is a first-time homebuyer loan. So they don't know what that is, right? So let me just clear it up in the air.
3 years.
Yeah. As long as you haven't owned a property in 3 years, you're still in essence considered a first-time home buyer. But there's some grants for first-time home buyers. But really what the first-time home buyer thing is that it allows you to qualify for a property with a very low down payment. It allows you to qualify for a loan with less than perfect credit, maybe a little bit blemishes on your credit. And even if you were a seasoned buyer coming back, and even if you had a blemished credit, you can still qualify. So understanding that will let them know that you can even go down to 580 FICO score, and some lenders are even taking lower than that to be able to qualify. And there's grants, there's money, there's options. So you got to come into a picture to get a pre-approval. Keep your hopes high, because there's so many options. But even if you're not able to buy, but come in and get what the expectations are, so you can be more prepared later on as to what you need to do. If you come in and you have a 580 FICO score and it's giving you a much higher rate and you want to be at 620, 640, well, then I can tell you, hey, do this, do that, pay this off, come back to me in 3 months, come back to me in 6 months. Or if you do this in a 10 to 15 day period, your scores can actually go up from here to there. So it's getting the knowledge in the beginning. So you don't even have to be looking to buy to get a pre-approval. You should know what your buying power is and where you stand. We were talking earlier that the famous line, right? I want to get a mortgage for $1,000 and I need I want 5 bedrooms and a pool in the backyard, right? But we have to set these expectations, because sometimes the buyers also think that when you get a loan, it's only a down payment, there's no closing costs.
Oh no, tons of other costs. Yeah.
Is a mortgage payment negotiable?
No, a mortgage payment is not. The only way you can negotiate a mortgage payment is if you put more money down.
Absolutely.
That's really the only way you're going to be able to change what your mortgage payment is going to be. And I think a lot of other expectations are, if there is a blemish, if there is something that, happened a long time ago, that they're doomed for life. You had someone that maybe they had a couple late payments, 10 years ago, and they're haunted by that. There are people that have had bankruptcies, foreclosures, and they buy a house. And a big thing is expecting that what their friend, their sister, their cousin, their neighbor, their coworker, what that person got, is going to be the same exact thing that they can get.
Correct.
Two completely different lives, different financial situations. So you can't expect that what someone else got will be what you can get, or you can get, better or worse. Every situation is different. I think people need to get those expectations out of there.
Yeah, and there's so many scenarios like you mentioned. I hear all the time, well, but my aunt purchased this. When's the last time your aunt purchased a property? Your aunt purchased a property
15 years ago.
15 years ago. And we all know the
when
market.
They were doing
stated
state
deals,
papers,
and those type of qualifications came along. To me, it's important to educate everyone, right? Because I was fortunate. I came out of college, and immediately after staying at my parents' house, I realized that it didn't make sense for me to leave my parents' home and then go and rent. Initially, I went in and got something to buy because I understood the concept that if you're paying $2,000 or $2,500 to rent, what you're doing is after you leave that apartment, you have no equity built into that property. So why not take that same $2,000 or $2,500, invest that in a mortgage, and now if you ever decide to do something, at least you can say, well, here's my equity. Because if you look at real estate over a long span, you're going to make your money back. I mean, I'm biased, right? I promise, and I swear behind real estate, right? Because this is the industry I'm in. But it is true, right? If you invest, I'd rather pay towards a higher mortgage than pay rent for someone else to kind of benefit on. So knowledge is key.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what we're talking about, expectations. You have people that are renting, and they may be in a luxury building, a luxury, apartment, and they expect that same unit, that same type of finishes, those same luxuries when they go and purchase a property. And they want it for the same amount of money or less. And what people don't realize is you have to take those expectations that you have of where you have been living currently, and you might have to make some adjustments. And then you have people on the other side of things where they've been living in, let's say, a less desirable condition, but then they expect complete total luxury when they go to purchase. But if your budget doesn't allow for that, then you're looking for a unicorn that just doesn't exist.
This is true.
And so your expectations really need to be checked as far as your desires and your living style and how that can change as well.
I've had some clients who make a lot of money, but then your income may say your income can support here with the debt to income ratio, but there's also funds and assets that need to kind of go into it. So then if I qualify you based on how much you have in assets, then I'll tell you how much you can qualify for. And those are two different numbers, right? You may have to go back to the drawing board, add someone else, or drop down, but at least now you know where you stand. So when you go back to your real estate agent, then you can do a better filter. You can do a better zip code to kind of help them know where they should be. Maybe we shouldn't be looking at, 2 families or, 800. Maybe we should be really down at 500. Maybe we get a fixer-upper. Maybe get something.
Some sweat equity.
Sweat equity. Maybe you got to get your hands dirty. Maybe you got to find a distressed property, a foreclosed property, put some work into it, and eventually grow into that property. Maybe a new construction. I don't know. Maybe something else. But if we don't know, like you mentioned in the beginning, all the facets, all the details of the transaction, it's going to surface at some point, right? Hopefully it doesn't surface at the day before closing and now something else happened.
Right. That's not fun at all.
Yeah, so the more information we know, I ask my clients in the beginning, that first initial consultation, tell me everything. Let me be your advocate. Let me be your eyes and ears. Let me navigate you through the process. But if you don't disclose everything to me, then I don't know what hurdles are to come.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest challenges, as you mentioned before, is about income. I've had clients where they make well into 6 figures and have less than $5,000 saved. And then I have one client that I always refer to. She made about $50,000 working as a housekeeper in a hotel. She had almost $80,000 saved.
Oh my God.
And people expect that, if you're a high earner, that you could buy anything. Well, it's not just income. There's several other factors that go into play as well. And also when it comes to income, is especially in our area, we have a lot of people that are overtime workers, and they want to count that overtime as their true income. And that's
you
not,
can't always do it.
Right.
Just to talk about income, someone come in to me and say, Gene, I make $100,000. $100,000 does not tell me enough. And you make 100, you may qualify for something else versus someone else who makes $100,000 because your debt and what you're paying on credit and how your credit looks is going to impact that debts income ratio. Because if you have student loans that are in deferment and we have to hit a fixed amount for that payment, you have a Lamborghini, you pay $2,000
that's
a month.
six-figure income and the lifestyle that goes with it.
One of the groups that were hurt the most during the pandemic were students, because the students were able to qualify for something called an income-driven repayment plan. So if a student comes out of college and they're making $70,000 a year and they have $100,000 in student loans, I take a certain payment for that. They're now not able to buy as much. But now the fact that it came back and we can now use a zero payment, it allows the students to be able to qualify for more. But if you don't know that, then you can't prepare yourself for later on as to what you need to buy.
Right. And it's good that you mentioned that. Another thing that people don't realize when it comes to income is the type of work that you do. The medical providers, the teachers, the civil service, there's all these types of programs for these different fields of work that people don't even realize exist. And it's just a matter of them being too scared to ask. So I think people should definitely have an expectation of better than worse to get started.
To surmise what we were saying, pretty much when you come into that first initial consultation, whether it's with your lender, your agent, or your real estate attorney, come with an open mind.
Lay it all out on the table.
Lay it all out and be prepared to kind of give all the information and let us dissect the information to kind of do something with it and tell you, here's where you are based on our findings, and we can then take it from there.
And I always tell people when it comes to either their finances or, their home, if they're going to list it, I've always seen worse. So whatever you have, trust me, we've seen worse. You're not going to be, the absolute worst case scenario. So don't feel ashamed. Don't feel embarrassed. We're here to help you to find the best solution for you based on your situation.
Yeah, I have sometimes like friends, I'm embarrassed to tell you my financial situation. Well, I'm in a position to help you, not to hurt you and not to ridicule you.
Yeah.
Also here to help you. So tell me what your situation is so I can use my knowledge that I have to kind of get you into a better place. Right. Credit sometimes is easily misunderstood too. It's an easy way to fix credit, just understanding what the credit agencies are looking for. So you think that you're really bad behind the eight ball, but you will contact a credit repair company that's going to charge you thousands of dollars when I can have an initial 5-minute conversation with you and say, hey, pay this, pay that, do this, do that, and your scores can jump overnight 60-something points.
Or you'll have people that'll go and they'll pay everything off, and then they go and say, I want to get a pre-approval. You didn't have to do that. You could have kept all that money for your down payment.
And sometimes paying everything off will hurt your scores, and closing credit cards will hurt your scores. So not knowing better, you can't do better.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a great segment. So if you ever go into your initial consultation, hopefully it's with us.
Absolutely.
Come with an open mind, and we'll give you the best advice possible. My name is Gene Volsi with UNMB Home Loans.
E. Patrice Hayes, Designer Realty.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Damn.